This is Eric Muathe at Muathe.com. All is well. In this video, I wanted to give you a couple of tips on how to find momentum instruments, especially if you are one of those traders who is always looking for the next high-flying breakout momentum ideas. So let me show you one trick. It's a simple trick or one approach which can help you filter out or get introduced to some high-flying instruments. So what I'm going to do here is just show you that in the pre-market, you can always take note of what is moving. So for example, today we can see with the market about to open here in about 25 minutes. All you have to do, if you have access to some of the streaming services that have access to the financial media, you'll see that they'll have, usually most of them will have a scrolling ticker, and it's going to have the stocks that are moving in the pre-market. Now you'll be amazed how this list here of stocks moving in the pre-market tend to be your leaders in the market in the coming weeks, in the coming days, in the coming months. So just constantly making sure you understand what is moving in the market, especially in the pre-market, because there tends to be some excitement around high-flying instruments, is just by making sure you understand what is moving. You'll find that this introduces you to new instruments you haven't heard of before, you haven't seen before. So by understanding what is moving in the pre-market on a daily basis or as consistently as you can, you're going to find that this is going to be a good source of very powerful moving instruments. So what I do is I just take note of what is moving in terms of percentage gain. I want instruments that are moving huge, maybe 10%, 20%, 30% in the pre-market. Those are the instruments that tend to be of interest, and you'll be amazed how they end up being the future winners in the weeks and in the months. Again, you'll find that the same instruments appear in the pre-market high movers almost every other week or every other couple of days, the same instruments. So by making sure you understand what is moving in the pre-market, this avails you to understand, to appreciate, and also to monitor, to track those instruments that are moving, and you can set your breakout alerts accordingly after they take a short break. So watching this ticker is one way to do it. Now, depending on your circumstance, sometimes it might just be easier to go to a website that tracks this for you. So most websites in whatever market you're trading are going to have the highest moving instruments. And you can see for today, I've pulled up, I use bar chart for US, those who trade in the US market. And I think it also covers other markets. So take a look. This is not like, I'm not promoting this. I'm not being paid. I'm just telling you what I use straight up. And I use the free version of it personally, and it meets my needs. So you can see here for the day, these are the instruments that are showing a high percentage gain in the pre-market already. So tracking these instruments for those who are looking for momentum candidates only makes sense. If you don't have the time to do this in the pre-market, you can always do this after the close. So every day, take a look at the highest percentage gainers in your market and track those instruments. Usually, generally speaking, you don't want to buy them on the day they first appear, because that's usually when they're setting up the stage for the next major explosive run. I'll give you two quick examples. So some of the instruments that have been doing great in the market, in the recent market, take a look at ZM. This instrument was one of the top percentage gainers right here. And I mean the top percentage gainers in the US on this day here when it broke out. It was another, again, it gave us another top gainers for the day somewhere there. All these are superior gainers for the day. Even here, it was one of the top percentage gainers. In other words, all of these huge gains for the day here, you can see this has been an instrument that was recording substantial highest daily gains. It was always among the top gainers for the day throughout all this process. So right now it is settling. It only makes sense for an instrument like this for you to understand the next breakout, which means you need to understand the rest period requirements. You can see on the monthly chart, only 1 month of rest is needed before a future breakout. So this was a one of those that we had a good entry here for paid subscribers somewhere. This breakout here was very profitable. So right now it is in the process of digesting the recent gains. You want to understand the next potential entry. Right now the weekly chart has settled long enough. We have more than 2 weeks of rest, so any breakout above the all-time weekly closing high can be considered an entry. So you just set an alert and wait to see whether it breaks out down the road. So here is another instrument that has been popping up on the daily gainers list almost every other day. It is this instrument on its way from moving from, let's call it, close to under $1. So here moving from about 80 cents, and all the way to 40. Now throughout all this process, this has been recording some of the highest daily gains consistently, and even this week it is up about 35% already. Last week it was up probably similar amount, about in the 40-50% percentage gain. So by understanding what is moving, you can be part of these substantial moves in major moving instrument. And you can see on the daily here, since March, this has been consistently among some of the top moving daily instruments without fail. And so by understanding this, you know where you should be paying your attention to and what you should be tracking. In fact, if we zoom in and understand the day-to-day gains, let's take a look here. So I just switched to trading view, and what you see here is on this day it was up 200. So this day right here, it was up 222%. The next day it followed up with a 52% gain. Here on this day you can see it was up about 12%. Here it was up 22%. Here it was up 32%. And here it was up, let's see, 46%. It gained 54% on this day, and recently gained 34%, 32% a couple days later, and then yesterday it was up 10%. So if you're looking for momentum instruments, you have to insist on tracking and owning the ones that are moving pretty much in your face. The top stocks will keep up popping up on the daily percentage gainers list. They'll continue delivering superior results relative to other instruments that are moving very slowly. So that's one simple trick. A couple of ways. One of the simplest ways is just track the daily percentage gainers. And of course, if you are playing breakouts, then you have pretty much no option but to master the rest period, so you can calculate and determine the next potential breakout level. So paid subscribers to Muathe.com. Unfortunately, this is not a free content, but paid subscribers to Muathe.com, you have access to this playlist where I discuss how to calculate your rest period and your entry points. This is Eric Muathe with Muathe.com. Love and light, light and love. Namaste.